Today is right now it's 8 p.m. It's the December 8th, 2023. I'm at Mocha, Puerto Rico. Uh, the other day, well, it's been like a week since, probably since first of Friday. I've been investigating. Well, I was staying at my relative's house, and I heard certain noises, and I was investigating the sounds in the house in her house. And first, I heard the sounds, like it woke up. The perps actually woke me up. Like they aimed a energy weapon waking me while I was sleeping. And then I would hear noises at nighttime. Like they had a lot of dogs barking, and then I started hearing beds screeching, like a screeching noise, like a. Then I then I just went back to sleep. For a few days, I heard the same thing. They woke me up for a few days, and then I went back to sleep. So one night I get up because I heard that, I heard moaning and the bed screeching. And then I go against the wall. My relative's apartment was, it's like two apartments, one in one side and the other side, but they're two separate apartments. So I hear moaning and I know that she's a single female. She starts, it's her moaning. Well, I think it's the neighbor moaning. I didn't know who it was. Like, there's just some the sound is like a weird surround sound thing going on. There's a very low frequency. Like I hear dogs barking, and the frogs, crickets, and birds or whatever. There's a lot of animals. So I hear moaning with the screeching, and then I start putting my ear against the concrete wall because there's no wooden walls or sheetrock or anything like that in Puerto Rico, in her house at least. There's wood panels, but that's in the wooden section. There's a wooden section of the house where I was staying at the kitchen. That's the only wooden part. The rest of it is all concrete. So she, well, I was hearing and I was listening to the sounds. Then I started saying, "What? Is somebody there with her?" I thought she had a lover at nighttime, and I said, "Somebody's there. Some dude is there. One of her boyfriends, like her friends, was creeping up, or she has a lover or something." So I investigated. I started, investigating to see, you know, what's going on. So I started looking around, and I noticed that she had two dogs, a female dog and a male dog, and the female dog was outside in the cold alone, and the male dog was inside the house. So I said, okay, I don't know. That's strange. It's very strange. And she said, she goes, she says, oh, that she lets the male dog in. She just gave me the information voluntarily that she lets him in because he's getting older, and that he has an ear infection, and that she has to keep him out of the cold or something like that. And it's just it keeps him inside. So, I, you know, I said okay, but I still think that she has a lover, or it's the neighbors that are making the noise. So I'm waking up almost every night, like December after Thanksgiving. So I hear the same thing, but this time, as wising up, I started using the cell phone against the or wall. Uh, I would record through the cell phone to the wall, very low frequency, and I would use two programs called Audacity and Goldwave to get the frequencies. So I just set up some because I didn't know what was going on. I said I had to find out what the hell's going on. I know she doesn't have a I wasn't with her. I never was with her sexually, but just she's my first cousin once removed, so I was never with her. So I created this device right here, which is all it is it's a sock right here to prevent the noise from making going clumping noise to be like quiet and secret. So it won't go crunk. Uh, and then it's all it is a can and a sock. Let me show you what it is. It's a can of sock, and there's a microphone, like a headphone microphone from a headphone from a cell phone, like microphone cell phone. There's also a sponge inside to keep the sound, because there's a lot of sound of frogs and all that stuff. So it's a can, and I put it against the wall, and I was able to get the sounds of her of her having sex with her own dog. She was, I was, I was traumatized. I was like, my heart was beating. I said, no, it was like, and what happened is that I confronted her. I tried to, I tried to, I confronted her with it at one time because I was investigating the sound. And then I heard it physically. One time I heard it really loud. I walked out of the house and tried to investigate. And I heard the moaning when it passed by the one of the windows, and the second window, I heard moaning. But because somebody moans, it doesn't mean that they're doing anything. So, close the door. Because somebody's moaning doesn't, that doesn't mean that they're doing anything. So I went closer, and one of the dogs barked, and the dog, how you say, the dog, one of the dogs barked, and she shut the light off, and then she turns it back on in her room, and I'm outside in front of a door, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get caught." So she caught me at the front of the door, and I was like, "Oh, I heard a sound." I explained I heard a sound of moaning and things like that, and she goes, "Oh yeah, you know, maybe it's the neighbors or something like that." She said she heard two guys or something of that nature. So I was like, I was checking her room. I took a picture of the room, and I might flash it up here. I might flash and you can see the bed is a mess, and it looks like there is some activity. And there's a pillow like in the front of the house, in front of in front of the front of the bed. The you know the, Usually you put your pillow back there, then you leave two pillows there. But she said she was praying or something like that. She said, "Oh, I was praying," and I was like, all right, like, so I checked. I said, "Let me check you, make sure you're wearing, underwear or something like that," because I was so, nervous, so I had to check her, to make sure she was wearing something, like that she wasn't naked and messing with that dog. The dog was, I was checking everything. I was, was investigating what the hell was going on. And it appears that when I got one of the audios, it was actually the neighbor telling the dogs to shut up. So then I said, I still don't know. I don't even know, because the dog, the the neighbors, there was an audio saying the neighbors were saying, "Shut up, okay." So that the neighbors, said, "Kayate," which means shut up, to the dog. But the problem with that is that the neighbor, there's no houses around that her house. There's like open section. There's no house in the back. There's a forest, like some rainforest in the backyard, and the front there's two houses further away from her house, and she's like in no man's land. So the problem with the voice that I heard, it was so I'm looking for echo. If it's the neighbor has an echo. What I'm not looking for is what I'm looking for is a voice without an echo, a voice nearby. Because a neighbor's voice, if she's far away, she has an echo. So when I go to my to the ear, I don't hear an echo, but I hear noise. But if the neighbor's yelling, you hear an echo because she's far away, and she lives on a hill, so I would hear an echo. So when I started investigating more, I started recording more and record more. Then I started using the programs, and then I discovered that it's her and her dog, and they were doing all kinds of sexual acts on, like I was like baffled, and I kept it to myself until I caught her, or I think on the third, no, the I think I caught her on the second. That's the time. I think it was the second or no, not the second. I think on the first. The first. I'm not sure when that audio was. When I was walking around, but uh, I was. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but I was on. It was on the. It was on the first. I think it was the first. Let me check really quick. So 115. 115. The third. 115 is not 115. I started recording around, I think it was the second. I think it was Friday or Thursday or Friday or the first. I think I got caught on the second. I got caught by her on the second. And then I heard it again, and I walked around the house and they caught me again. Like I was just so, like I wasn't careful. But I found out that her other daughter was being a lookout for her while she was having sex with the. She has an older daughter, and she was being a lookout for her on the. So there's no way I could sneak around. She had dogs and she had lights all around. Like she was prepared to. She was paranoid, not for intruders, but more to get caught. Like she was like security minded, not to get caught in doing so. So I think it was the second or the first when I got caught by her. So it could have been the second or the first. Then then on the no, it was the first. It probably was the first or November 30th, around that time, November 30th or the 1st of December. Then on the second, which is a Saturday, our granddaughter sleeps over the house. So I said, "Oh, she's sleeping over." And I was still, I was like, no, she's not gonna do nothing at that time. Her granddaughter's about 16 years old. She's gonna be 17. I said she's not gonna do anything at that time. I'm not gonna record anything because I don't want to record, a teenager's voice conversation. And it's only audio that I'm gonna record because if I get caught, um, trying to film somebody having sex with a dog and they're not doing anything, I look like a perv. So I know that something's going on, but I still have to investigate. So I said, "Oh, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna get better sleep, and I'm gonna go to sleep." I heard this possibly can't, they can't do anything wrong with that girl there. And then the next, like I heard in the night on the second, which is the third in the morning at 2 o'clock in the morning, I did hear noises. I hear, bumping and screeching and talking or whatever, moaning or whatever. I said, "Oh no, I gotta record." So I think I used this thing again, and I said, "Let me, plunk and start recording." And I used my cell phone. So you use this thing and a cell phone, and we record. But it records a very low audio, like you can't hardly see it. You probably won't even see it, and then when you amplify it, you have to amplify it like 27 dB and then 10 dB, and then signals become louder. So 27 and then 10 around that time, it would. So then I heard, I heard it, I don't know, I have like 145 plus 145 plus recordings. Some of them are testings of sounds. I have to test the sound of how I got a memory foam, but how a bed spring sounds, so I can differentiate from the frogs and all that stuff. So I had to make a baseline of all the sounds, like I recorded the dog barking. So some of those sounds are that thing to, you know, which dog is barking, all that stuff. So when I confronted her on the, she, I totally caught her. I amplified. I knew it was her because there was no echo. It was her voice, and her dog was, the dog was in a room. You could hear the dog breathing, and you could hear her moaning and talking to the dog. It, it was a, it was a bad experience, your own relative. So, uh, I didn't know anything about her granddaughter at the until yesterday because of the audio files being loaded. It's not like you pop it in your ear and hear anything. You have to amplify it and process it. And Go Wave, I use initial uh, noise. It's like noise reduction. It's called initial noise, and then you have to move the dial, and then you can hear the granddaughter having sex with the dog also. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? But before that, they threw me out because I was staying at her house because of this room was like right now you can see it's kind of this room is like 98 degrees. And you can see right now it's close to it's a bit above 80 degrees, close to 90, but it was 98 degrees, and I was down in this room. It was suffocating and all that. So the room was like, why I stood over there. Said, let me. She asked me if I wanted to rent the room a bit and stay over there, and I said, all right, I'll stay over there. So that's why I was over there since October 1st. I think around October 1st to this November 5th, and after she threw me out, I think on the 5th, she said, you gotta leave. You can't, because I confronted. I said, you know what? If I stay here, you have to get rid of that dog. And she said, no, I'm not getting rid of that dog. So I said, you're gonna get rid of the dog, or you're gonna get help, or I'm gonna, get you help. And we just started arguing. She says, I know what you're doing. And I told her I have these recordings that I've been investigating for like a week or so. And she didn't, she acted like, oh, like you don't have anything. You don't have anything. So she was like, she wasn't responsive. Like all I wanted her to do is get rid of the dog. I didn't know about her granddaughter at all at that moment until yesterday, which when I amplified, as they started threatening me or using my relatives. They said, "Oh, if you don't stop, I'm gonna call his father, blah blah blah. I'm gonna call the police or whatever if he doesn't, So what I did was started investigating. I have 140 something files that I gotta go through. Some are there might not be anything, and some of them there's sounds. But on the second, or actually the third, there's sounds of her granddaughter. And because of that, I called I called the FBI. Called the FBI. What time did I call them? Called the FBI San Juan, and I called FBI San Juan at. You can see the number. You can see the numbers over here. The FBI is on the bottom. The San Juan and the Mocha Police Department. They told me to call Mocha Police Department. The time with FBI 2:30 in the morning because my conscience and 2:41. So when I called, they referred me to the police department. The FBI referred me. You gotta call your local police department. So I called the local police department, and they said, "Oh, okay." They took down some information. What's her name? Where does she live? I I didn't know exactly her address because it's hard to, Puerto Rico is very difficult to figure out what's their exact address. You know the street? I didn't even know the street. I just knew around where she lives. So I told, they said, okay, we'll call you. We'll get in contact with you, you know, in tomorrow. But they never got in contact with me because of the young girl involved. I called them, and then yesterday I found out the young girl was involved. So like because I can hear the audio. Now today there's the perps are the perps are tampering with my Puerto Rican nationality, and they appear to the politicals and the perps, which are U.S. military, are trying to frame me for whatever happened, and I have nothing to do with that. That's why I called the police department on my own relative, and I told what they were doing and what possibly might have happened with the granddaughter. They didn't respond to me, so I'm gonna make this YouTube to. I don't know if it's gonna fit. The whole thing is gonna fit, but I'm gonna make this YouTube to clear my name. The just clear my name because the purpose tampering my Puerto Rican nationality, and and it seems that like the politicals are trying to frame me for whatever happened over there. I have nothing to do with that. I wouldn't do that to that girl. So they've been when I came back home, they've been tampering with my Puerto Rican nationality, pretending that uh that you caused that and we have to hide you, so we have to pretend you're a different nationality. There's a lot of black V2K that work for some political, so that's why I want to explain. And the police and the FBI didn't get back to me, so I think they're just either useless or they don't want to investigate because of the politicals might have ran a skit with the homeland. They do stupid things to try to get into office so they can sex traffic and steal and murder people's property.